Michelin Canyon in Cork, form a sequence which records the grand procession that marked the opening of the Great Exhibition in 1902. This arguably marks the high point of Edwardian film in Ireland as social and civic archaeology.
I often think of home beyond the air, when I am all alone and far away.
Anyone who was free at all headed off the minute there was a bit of excitement. But of course then, in some of these clips, we see the big formal, I think, procession with landaus and all the best people in their best attire and their tall hats. But I think they all turned out, you know, the trade unions with their big formal painted banners.
I mean, look at the doubting, quizzical expressions on the face of the factory workers, and look at the complacent faces of the Cork merchants and the aldermen and their ladies as they're driven by and carriages to be looked at. The camera picks out all faces equally. We all know how to present ourselves to a camera. In those days, it's as if those in power already knew how to present themselves. The poor were still dubious, though. What's this yoke? Who's this now taking advantage of me?
People, I think, had in Cork this a rather proud sense of occasion, and the march out to the Great Exhibition opening must certainly have been quite something to see.
There's one or two banners with the Irish language in them, and there it's still quaint, it's still touristic. 20 years later, a banner with a script in the Irish language is saying something entirely different. So these literally are signs and signifiers of who people were, but you can see the embryos of change to come.
It was the city, as it were, en fête. They were all out. They were there, they were entitled to be there, and they were going to have a damn good day.
When we look back at our own place, you know, the place of our birth, the place that nurtured and shaped us, that gave us our accents, that gave us our ways of breathing, of walking in the street. I go back to Cork and see these same faces, but these faces belong to people who are long since gone. They're gone into dust. It's that curious comfort you get when you actually accept the truth of death as the thing that gives life its meaning. So the film is a kind of challenge to our collective sense of ourselves, and it's a challenge to us to remember how to love our place and how to love each other. Above all else, I think it's a reminder to us that we have to cherish the dead.
What survives of Michelin Kenyon's footage of Edwardian Cork was shot for profit, undiluted by political or propaganda imperative. If their cameras strayed into the festering poverty on either side of the river, those pictures have not survived. Nevertheless, these images inform our vision of Cork on the cusp of the 20th century. Waiting in the wings, both kings and kaisers and dreamers with guns would shatter this world forever.
It's like waking up one morning, going through a mirror into a city that at one level is very familiar because we can recognise Anglesey Street and so on and so on. But everything else is different, everything has changed. So there's a kind of a moving backwards and forwards through a mirror that makes it both real and unreal. And for me, this is what makes this film an absolute knockout.
when you look back at a piece of film like this, you are put in touch with the dead, and they're somehow brought back to life because you realise you're just an instant of the human condition. So there's comfort even as there's sorrow there.
And the look of the Irish season continues later tonight with a moving account of the life and early death of a talented young photographer. That's Darkroom at midnight tonight here on RTE1.